Hello, it's Karen, the Weekend Craftaholic, and today I am sharing the January block of the month by Quilting Life. And you can see here I've decided to use their fabric as well. This is Laguna Sunrise. I did order it for the Socialites Fat Quarter Shop Sew Along, but when it came I just knew I had to use it for the Quilting Life block of the month instead. So I wasn't planning to do it this way, but I'm so glad that I did, because I think the fabrics were an absolute joy to sew with and to stitch with. I had a lot of fun with this one. I'm going to be uploading a video once a month as I stitch along with this. Hopefully it's not too far in the month, but I have linked down below some details for Sherry and Chelsea's website, so you can get it if you wanted to stitch along as well. Obviously everything is on the YouTube channel, but all of the patterns and details are on the blog as well, so I definitely encourage you to look into that. So my video, I basically just press record while I do the block. This probably took about an hour to do, which was pretty good. And I'm just putting a little bit on fast forward, showing you some key highlights and cutting out the bits that I hope you think you're not going to miss too much. For example, getting all of these set up initially. Now this first block was a lot of fun. I'm so glad that I did Motor Blockhead 6 initially, because I think it set me up for success with some of these other patterns. This one is made of half square triangles and flying geese, and so it was good to know that I'd already done a bit of practice with that. But I would definitely describe this block as being a beginner level. So if you've not done quilt alongs before, or sew alongs, or block of the month, I definitely would recommend this one. This is probably one of my most favourite ones to do so far. And in saying that, I think Sherry did do a block in Motor Blockhead 6. That was also one of my favourites. I just love the simplicity of it. It wasn't too overcomplicated, didn't take forever to do, wasn't too many pieces. Pieces weren't too small. It just had the perfect ingredients to give a beautiful block. Now there is also a Facebook group that I've joined, and I'm absolutely loving seeing everybody's different styles, different fabric combinations that they're making with their block of the month as well. Now so far you've seen me just draw a diagonal line across on these little triangles, and then I've drawn another line either side of that, just so that's my stitching line, and then the diagonal line in the centre is where I'm going to cut these half square triangles in half. I've not showed you the sewing part, but I'm just showing you the end bit here where I do some chain stitching with all of these pieces that come together at the end. This makes it super easy once you've drawn a line in the centre, so you know where just to cut to separate these pieces, and then all that's left to do after this is to press it. So this particular block, I feel like it comes just in two different pieces. You've got your half square triangles and then your flying geese, and then the rest of the block is made up of some solid pieces as well that fit inside of this, and this gives this gorgeous little star pattern as well. So I think this is one of the classic styles of blocks. I'm sure it's got a name to it. I'm not sure what that name would be, but it is very classic, the style that you see in a lot of quilting designs. I just wanted to show my pressing method here as well, because especially with these being cut and stitched on the bias, I'm trying not to press too much to distort it, but I am using the lighter colour at the bottom that I don't want to have the fold on, so I purposely turning these around before I press them, so I know that that white's underneath. And then these are cut short to 2.5 square inch. Now I do have this little 2.5 square ruler. It's not the ideal, it's a little bit fiddly, it does slip and slide a little bit, so I do end up giving up the ghost on this and using a bigger one actually on my other cutting table. But I did want to show you this bit because I just wanted to say how much I appreciate and love the generosity of this fabric. There's nothing worse than it being so snug, and you've got to really be mindful of your seam allowance, but as you can see here, these are quite generous, and I really do appreciate the fact that as I'm trimming these down, I do actually have something to trim down. So I am actually finding that the patterns that I'm following from Sherry are absolutely perfect. I've done a couple of paid ones as well, and the actual seam allowances tend to be very true, which is great. Now it's time to make our flying geese, and this is something I traditionally fail big time. I do try and avoid it, but I've been very careful here to follow along with the pattern to the table, to the letter, and you can see I'm even drawing my diagonal line here, which again, it's not something I normally do, but I thought, you know, this could be why I'm not very successful at flying geese, because I'm not paying too much attention to the accuracy in there. So I've got this mechanical pencil. It has got a thinner, I think it's a 0.4 width to it, so again I'm thinking the smaller the width of that line, maybe that's contributing as well to some of my flying geese in the past not going too right. So I'm following it to the letter with the pattern, and again, very great simple instructions to follow. And you can see here, I'm going to show you the first few of these, but then I don't show every single one because as I mentioned at the start of the video, this project probably took me about an hour to complete, and I know you're not going to want to sit there and watch an hour long video of me painstakingly doing this very slowly, step by step. But I do love the repetitive process of this. I love chain stitching, so I definitely did enjoy doing this block, and it's sitting proud now on my little mini design board near my desk, which I always put my most recent block on until I do the next one, and then it gets retied to its little tub. So I'm all organised. I've got a new storage bin to keep these fabrics in, to keep the patterns in. As you saw, I'm going to use the patterns on my iPad, so that's going to be great for me to be able to follow along with that. And you can see here, I'm just going to quickly show you this part of doing the second part of the flying geese. But you can see here just how generous this pattern has been, allowing you to make sure that there's definitely going to be enough on this overlap. I do stop myself at this point. I was going to just start to sew, but I did look at the pattern and it did say to obviously do that kind of press and flip and press. So I am going to do that, even though I don't normally do. And you know what? Maybe this is a new start for me. But maybe this is where I have a turning point with flying geese, and I no longer hate them because I love the way they turned out on this. I think the pattern selections as well. The fact that this collection just goes together so easily, and I don't have to worry about getting stuff from my stash and making sure it matches, I think is really one of the main key reasons why I absolutely love this finished block as well. Not just because of me making it and sewing it and being able to follow those instructions, but just the overall pattern of it as well. I think it turns out absolutely gorgeous. So I'm just going to show you here just me sewing the first one, and then all that's left for me to do once I've sewn all of those is, again, I'm wanting to show you the pressing side of this, because this is where you kind of see the big reveal. I have to say, I think the pressing is my most favourite part. When I first started sewing, I didn't realise how much ironing there was, and I used to think, oh my geez, I don't do an awful lot of stitching, but sewing tends to be just ironing all the time. Wasn't a fan. But doing these blocks and learning how to quilt, I feel like the pressing stage is when you get the big reveal. It's when you actually see the block come to life and the project come to life. And it just makes a massive difference from when you've got things all stitched to then when you maybe have a little spritz of starch, or you're just pressing it in general. They just come out looking so clean and crisp and absolutely gorgeous. So at this point I've trimmed these down as well. I think from memory they were 4.5 by 2.5 or 4 by 2.5. But this is my favourite part of any project, is kind of putting it together like a jigsaw piece and then seeing how it's all going to come together. Sometimes this is when I do get a bit worried about my fabric selection. Have I done the right colour choice or not? Because unless you're following to the letter, it's really hard, isn't it? You really do need to be a designer to know what colours go with what. But really pleased with how this particular one came out, and I think the way the red stands out, and I never normally like red, I'll be completely honest, but the way the red stands out in this collection against the blue, I really love it. I have got myself a couple of meters as well of this backing, this white backing fabric, the cotton, that I'm going to keep in the box as well for this, so I don't run out of it. I've made a note of the number just in case I do. But when I popped it against some of the low volume prints in that, it was a really good match, so I decided to stick with this one for my background fabric. You can see here how it's coming together. I thought I'd use those little outside corners with the red, and there's a bit more white in that. I thought I would use that for these little corner pieces, and I am really pleased with the way it came out. So you can see here now how my blocks kind of coming together. I've sewed the rows together, and now I've got to do it. Sorry, I've sewn the columns together, and now I've got to do is sew the rows together. And again, this is my favourite part, the big reveal. So I hope you enjoyed watching along for this. If you're interested in watching any of my sewing videos, not just quilting, I'd love you to subscribe and follow along. And if you want to, click that bell to be notified of any future ones. But I will be posting the Quilting Life block of the months once a month. So I'd love you to follow along. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you have a great crafting weekend. Thanks for watching.